Hello everyone, welcome to the Times Jobs webinar. Thank you for joining the session today. I am Pranav, the moderator of this session. The topic for today's talk is AI and jobs, how to be job ready in the age of technology. To present today's webinar, we have with us Mr. Anirban Roy Chaudhary, Vice President, Human Resources at iMerit. Anirban leads the global human resources function and has focused on people strategy by creating a robust HR system over the past 8 years. He has more than 19 years of experience in delivering strategic HR initiatives addressing the unique challenges and discoveries of building, training, and managing a large distributed impact workforce with immense diversity. Under his leadership, iMerit has earned multiple business awards and certifications for HR excellence and has established itself as one of the most favored workplaces in IT services. Additionally, Anirban has contributed to the growth of the organization while keeping its social vision balanced with business objectives. Prior to iMerit, Anirban was part of various global MNCs such as Bata, Writer Corporation, and MPS Groups. He is postgraduate in HR and marketing from MSRIM Bangalore. In this webinar, he will discuss how to identify a suitable career path with growth potential. This will be a 1 hour session with around 40 to 45 minutes for the presentation and the remaining 15 to 20 minutes for questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please send them to us using the questions tab on the GoToWebinar control panel. Now, without any further delay, I will hand over the session to our guest speaker. Over to you, Anirban.
Thank you, Pranav, for the lovely introduction. And good afternoon, everyone. Hope all of you are doing fine with your friends and families in these testing times, keeping safe and healthy. So going back to the topic of the presentation or webinar today, AI and jobs and how to be ready in the age of technology, how to be job ready rather in the age of technology. Now, before we get into the specifics of what kind of jobs we are talking about, what AI is, let us try and understand why would somebody look into an AI job market. I mean, what is that so special about AI? I mean, everybody's talking about AI nowadays, but let us try to understand through some real facts and statistics that what is so special about the AI job market. And thereon, we'll get into the discussion, or we'll get into the presentation and informations and insights about how you can be ready as aspiring professionals to enter the AI job market. So if I look at some stats to start with, what it says is that by 2030, AI will lead to an estimated 15.7 trillion, or actually 26% of the global GDP as an industry. Now that's a whopping figure, 15.7 trillion. But what that actually means is this is a prediction by 2030, which means even from 7 years from today's date, or 8 years to be specific from today's date, we're standing on 2022, AI is going to be the leading market in the industrial or the IT domain, which means that AI is not just a fad, it's not just a, trend or boom which is there for maybe a couple of years and then it's going to go off. No, it's going to be there. It's going to be the leading industry in the technology field for next 10 years, if not more. That's pretty clear from the statistics. So if somebody is looking to build a career in the AI, definitely it's on, because it's not something it's going to go away. It's going to be rather the order of the day going here onwards. And just to support that stat, now somebody might think that, okay, you've spoken about a stat which is of 2030. I'm standing on 2022. What is AI doing in 2022? Let us understand that. And in the third quarter alone in 2021, $18 billion have been invested in AI companies, which is a record in itself. $18 billion. People can imagine in one quarter, $18 billion being invested in an industry. And we are looking to be a part of that industry. All of us should be excited and thrilled about it. So it's not something that's only on a futuristic mode that we are saying that, oh, it's going to be this big in 2030. No, it's already big, and people are really investing into it. People are really showing the confidence. When you say 18 billion being invested, it is being invested by investors, banking, and such organizations. And these are organizations which just don't go in and invest money in any company. This is not a retail purchase that you go into a showroom and buy a TV. These companies invest their money only after a lot of research work that has been put in. So be rest assured, if $18 billion have been invested in one quarter, these companies have definitely done their homework before investing into it. Now comes the most paradoxical and the most controversial question that has always been associated with technological development. 30% of the jobs will be replaced by automation, especially the boring and repetitive. So there comes the question which has been an eternal matter of debate since the time perhaps computer was introduced into the world, that whether technology is there to create jobs or whether technology or automation is going to take away jobs. The answer is definitely in the next stat. World Economic Forum says that the machines will create 58 million new jobs, which means AI or automation is not there to take away the jobs in that way. It's not going to be a depleting factor for the job market. It's going to create huge amount of new jobs. Yes, the face of the jobs, the skill requirements of the jobs will change for sure. The daily routine mundane work that is being done by humans repetitively in different roles or certain roles are going to be replaced by the automation, and human skills and requirement of human skills in different levels would be increasing more and more as the automation takes over. So the question about whether AI is going to take away the jobs from the market, the firm answer to this is no, it's not going to take away jobs from the market. It's only going to create more new job opportunities where human skills would be rather in demand rather than a mundane repetitive work. I don't want to get into a job perhaps which would ask me the same question 15 times a day, and I need to just give certain standard data against that. Take, for example, a railway reservation inquiry. You dial in a number and there is an automated voice response system which tells you perhaps a train number, the reservation status, the running status of a train. Now, there was a time when these jobs used to be done through a train inquiry system. A human interface was there, but it was observed over a period of time that this is rather a job which is not very humane in nature. It doesn't require any human skill or intelligence to answer these kind of questions. So that has been automated. Similarly, AI would actually take away a part of the job, 30% as the previous point says, which are more repetitive and mundane in nature. And it's going to create a big whopping 58 million new jobs, which would be for all you new aspiring people in the AI industry, which would be looking more into the human skills, which would be emphasizing more into the skills of people rather than letting them do similar kind of repetitive and mundane work. So that's what it is. AI is going to create more jobs. It's not going to deplete the job market. The face of jobs will change for sure to a certain extent for certain roles. And the people who are already working in the industry do believe, 70% of the people believe that the automation will offer them a further opportunity of more highly skilled work. Exactly what I was studying in the previous point, that you would have more opportunity on highly skilled work, the work which demands more human skill, more human intelligence, human decision, human judgment, human analysis. All those skills will come into play once the AI or automation creates those kind of jobs, which already it has started creating. It's just a matter of time. So all in all, looking at the market, what AI is going to do, what AI is already doing, yes, this is an industry which is going to sustain. It's not going to go away. This is a technology which is going to sustain, which is not going to go away. This is a technology which has already got the confidence and backup of investors, banking, and financial institutions, which means it would get the required amount of money that is needed to develop and grow an industry at a fast pace. So in one word, is it a best place or is it a good and exciting place to go in for a job? The answer is a big yes, it is. It's just a matter that how you prepare yourself to be a part of this industry. Moving there. So I hope the context is now pretty clear to all of you that why people are talking so much about AI or technology industry is talking so much about AI. Now, we would have a look at these following points, specifically focusing on the point number 5, that how to be job ready. But even before that, we need to understand that how AI is changing the world, because unless the world around you, the socioeconomic environment around you, unless all the things that you see on a daily basis around you is changed, there's no demand that's been generated in the market, because the market is driven by the end customers, which are people. Why people would be interested in AI, or why there will be a demand of AI in the market, is because it's going to change the world in different ways. Everything that you see around you is going to have a different look, going to have a different interface, going to have a different phase through AI. And in response to that, how the job market will change, because if there's a demand, then there's a supply. We are basically on the supply side of the job market. We are the existing employees, and you are who are the aspiring employees of the tech or technology industry are all a part of the job market, which then would try to address this change that AI will bring about around the entire world. And then comes the question, when now we have a market, we have a demand, and we need to have a supply, but how to make sure that we create the right kind of supplies, which means how to prepare for the AI's impact on the jobs. At the same time, very interestingly, what has happened in last 2 years or so is the concept of work has really been revolutionized by something called COVID-19. Before this, work from home in IT industry was just a flexible option for some people or a set of people to exercise. But now, in last 2 years, work from home has become the norm, is how IT industry is working. So more and more, but there are certain types of roles and works three companies are doing. Even iMerit as an organization where I work is doing is creating a model which is right now, popularly called as a hybrid model, where there's a large set of people in your organization who are working from home, and there's another set of people who are working from office, and a mix of that, and people are getting rotated between home and office. So that's the hybrid model, which was, not really even imagined a couple of years back to take over in such a widespread way. So there are two things that has happened simultaneously. While AI has become the real happening technology for the tech industry going forward 10 years, at the same time, the work and operational patterns of IT service and IT delivery has really changed. Not only IT, there are leagues of other industry also who are actually in this field, but I think technology has been the biggest impact maker as much as work from home and this hybrid model is concerned. So that has also happened, and you need to be ready for that part also, because once you get into this industry, you actually would be working maybe from home, maybe from office, maybe a mix of that. And all of us need to prepare. When I say all of us, because for us also it was not a hard reality 2 years back. So that's another change that the job market and the aspiring young people has to be really ready for. And then of course, how to be job ready in the age of technology is something that everybody has to look in. It's not only AI. If you're going to sustain yourself in the field of technology, then there are certain specific areas that we would look into, that how we can be job ready. So the first point, as I said, how AI is changing the world. Because if the world around you is not changing, then there is no demand. And if there is no demand, then the market or the industry doesn't get the real drive, because unless there's a demand, you don't create a supply. So how the world is changing. And these are just a few illustrations. So please understand, this is not like an exhaustive list of things that only these things will change. Everything around us will have an impact, starting from autonomous vehicle, where IMERIT as an organization work extensively. We are going to have cars which are driverless. We are going to have vehicles moving into military zones, high risk zones, which would not have drivers. We would have industries like logistics, as you can understand, courier service, home delivery, all these things moving into the automatic or autonomous vehicle mode sooner or later. That's the order of the day. It's going to happen. All big automobile manufacturers are already in the stage where they are actually productionizing this AI technology to make automatic cars fly on the roads. If you follow technology news closely, you would see it has already, the testing and productionizing of this technology has actually started. Vehicles will be on the road without a driver. It means that the AI, the technology, would actually enable the vehicle to move on the roads without a driver. How crazy it might sound, but that's actually is what's going to happen. And you can see it in very near future for all of you. It may start in countries like Europe and America to start with, but sooner or later it would definitely flow into the rest of the world for sure. Benefiting the environment, we are working on a project where we're actually annotating images of oceans and the movement of ships to make sure that the whales, because whales are one of the endangered species that exists on the day, and their lives and their habitats are continuously being disrupted by human intervention. When I say human interventions in the ocean, it's one is pollution and movement of ships, which also causes pollution. And this technology of AI is actually mapping the movement of ships and the zones through which whales move to make sure that the shipping companies can actually create a safe passage for whale movement. Doesn't that sound fascinating, guys? We have heard of I think, in India, we have heard of, elephant corridors or animal corridors, which cannot be disrupted by our civilization or development of our civilization, which are majorly within the reserve forest. Similarly, here, a technology is creating safe passage for the movement and habitats of whales, which is a real big thing when it looks into the environmental. And there are multiple such projects. Catching poachers, people who illegally hunt wildlife. So the geospatial technology is actually taking satellite images to find out which are the most prone areas where poachers actually hunt illegally, identify those areas and catch the poachers so that the environment and the wildlife are safe. So these are just mere examples. It's happening in different areas. Productivity improvement is something which is very, very understandable when I look at AI, that, as I said, repetitive mundane tasks can actually be automated. Chatbots, which you can already see maybe when you go into a customer service window of a food delivery, of a air, kind of a mobile service provider, where the first set of questions are either automated voice response, and if you're reaching them through internet, you see a chatbot, a chat window opens, and basically a chatbot chats with you for certain standard questions. If you're still not satisfied with the answers and your problem is not solved, then you're redirected to a customer care executive. So that's again an AI-enabled technology which makes the chatbot interact with you successfully and give you an understanding and solution of your problem. But again, machines can be taught, AI can be a technology, but there has to be a human interface in specific edge cases where you are actually being redirected to a customer service person. So again, AI is going to replace some jobs, but it's not going to take away all your jobs. It's rather going to create new jobs where human skills are more focused upon. Healthcare, perhaps, as you can see, better care, which means healthcare, perhaps one of the biggest impact makers when it comes to AI. You know, it's been said that 20% or 25% of the healthcare service providers' time is actually being spent on the administrative work, which is not their core activity. So just imagine if that administrative work can be automated, then that 25 or 30% of their time can rather be devoted into their core activity of taking care of the patients, understanding the right caregiving procedures, speaking more to the patient, you know, all these activities which are more into the core healthcare, or even researchers or research activities in healthcare would be boosted by taking away the regular mundane administrative work that are also part of their job as on today's date. So again, I would say this is not an exhaustive list. These are just mere illustrations. It would be, social benefits like optimizing response on disaster management, predictive models about natural calamities which are being created by AI, saving time on predictive farming. Now, again, IMERIT works on geospatial technology. We are big time workers on those technologies where you have satellite images taken of big farming fields, and then they are being categorized into different farming activities depending on time, season, zones. You can have the right predictions for farming. Won't it be wonderful? India being a country which is like, you know, the majority of the GDP comes from the farms. This could really revolutionize the agriculture, not only for the developing countries, but for developed and developing both countries once this technology really takes over. That does not mean that the jobs of the farmers are going to be taken away. It only means that they would have better prediction, they would have better tools, they would have better means of understanding the requirements of farming, and they would be able to yield more produce in a better way. The efficiency, the productivity would rise. That's what AI is all about. Security improvement, detecting tax frauds. So these are, and if you go through this list, again, it's not an exhaustive one, what you would understand that every walk of life would going to have an implication of AI. And that is something which would create the demand in the market, which would then be impacted on the job world where you are aspiring to enter. Again, that eternal debate of how AI is changing the job market. There will be some jobs, as I said at the beginning, which AI will replace, but AI cannot replace all jobs. Why so is something that you will see quickly. Of course, computers are less error prone than humans. To err is human, is what we say. So we are prone to make errors. That's nothing wrong. That's how we have been created by nature, and that's how it is. That's a fact of life. So things like hard information, data, where the job is repetitive, but you have to produce the right information and data. That's why computers do better. That's where AI would do better. AI doesn't get bored or tired. Of course, if some of you, if you have worked in any customer service profile, you know that when you answer similar types of calls and say that good morning sir, good evening sir, how may I help you today, you keep doing this for maybe 50, 60, 70 times a day, 24 by 7 schedule, 30 days a month or 20 days a month for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. Depending on your individual threshold, people are supposed to get tired or bored because you feel that I'm doing same repetitive kind of work on a daily basis. It becomes mundane. And that's where AI comes into place and tells you that you don't do this mundane job. You put your time, effort, energy, and intelligence on something which is more challenging and more interesting and more creative to you as humans, and let AI take over that. Machines can perform dangerous tasks. I was just giving you an example of, military, vehicles which needs to move through maybe, pretty risky terrains or areas where you have a real danger of being attacked by your enemies and things like that in the borders, in the high terrains of the mountains, where you can actually send a machine because human life is no more risk to do that job. You're not risking human life. You're just getting the job done by the AI-enabled machines. So that's another part of it. And anything which can do a repetitive job efficiently would become cheaper in terms of cost, because the machine is consistently delivering you a consistent set of quality results in terms of the output that you're expecting. It would definitely become cheaper. But then again, coming back to the question, it's not all, because we are humans. We really excel in creative thinking. We make the AI understand what it is supposed to do. So our intelligence, our analytical skills, our skills to judge and make decisions over and under a situation is something that cannot be actually taken over by AI. So don't be afraid. Never think that AI is going to be a depleting factor for the job market. Computers can't imitate human connections. The connectivity, the rapport that we build up with each other, the relationship that we build, not only at a personal level, at a professional, at all levels and forums, the discuss and ideas that we exchange, which can benefit, all of us together as a team. Those attributes of humans cannot be inherited or taken off by AI. So those are going to be our areas of strength, and it will continue to be in that way. AI cannot handle an overly complex or highly, strategic situation. You have got multiple factors actually influencing a situation, which often happens in a corporate decision-making scenario, which often happens for a doctor who has to take an immediate decisive call while on the operating table for a patient, or for a military general who is actually taking a decision about how he should move and master his troops in a war situation. These are situations which are highly challenging, human skill demanding situations, and AI cannot replace them at all at any point of time. And finally, of course, humans are needed to program the AI. Keep always that in mind, that we are actually the creator of AI. So we are the teachers, we are the masters of the programs that actually drives AI. So our demand, our skills, our strengths are always going to be there in the market, are always going to be the ones that is going to drive us for a better and aspiring career. It's not going to be replaced by the AI by any means. How the job market has changed over a period of time. If you look at the right side of the, if you look at the pyramid, this is basically a skill pyramid, just to give you a quick understanding of the different stages that on today's date an employee goes through, or an aspiring, person who is going to make a career in technology field goes through at different stages of their career. It's all about knowledge when you come to the technology and IT field. But when you start as a student, somebody who has completed his computer engineering or a BTech or doing it. He's gathering knowledge. He's still at the mode of gathering and acquiring knowledge. And then he moved to a stage which is called an apprentice. What is an apprentice? You actually get associated with some kind of real-time job to understand the application of the knowledge that you've gathered at a stage as student. Those understanding are going to be of immense importance, what you learn as an apprentice, what you learn on the job, because there's always going to be a difference between the knowledge that you gathered through your books and practicals and case studies, and what actually happens in the market in an organization. So that's a second stage. When you are at an apprentice stage, you are still building up on your knowledge. At the same time, you are relating the application of your acquired knowledge in the real-time field. The third level is when you're a specialist, when you actually know how to use your knowledge purposefully. When you're working on live project as a specialist, you know that if this is the problem, this could be the way, or these are the prescribed way. These are the prescribed way of achieving the right outcome. You have reached till that level. Then you go to an expert level when there is not always a prescribed way. There's a problem that has been given to you and you try to solve that problem, which means that you have gone one level above the specialist. You are not only working on things which are in a prescribed way, which are actually giving you certain challenges which are out of the prescribed way. It is proposing and coming to you with some amount of problems for which you need to find solutions through your specialist skills and the knowledge and exposure that you've gathered in the previous stages of your career. And finally, you get into a level of a craftsman where you become the person who is going to design the system, who is going to strategize the business, who is going to take a decision that I understand that these are going to be the market scenario. I understand these are going to be the edge cases. I understand that these are going to be the products and services which are going to be important and critical in the market, and I will design the solutions for them. So if you look at the pyramid once again, from acquiring knowledge to actually solving problems to getting into a level of designing solutions that the market is demanding or will demand in future, is a journey that is a skill pyramid based journey that you actually would make when you are in the industry of technology. And because we in iMerit as an organization, we really based our workforce in these skill pyramids. That's why we are able to give them a clear career path, and we are able to retain them to a level of 91% even in the time of the Great Resignation. So what is happening in the industry is the demand for technology and soft skill is growing. Companies are ready to pay salary or higher salaries even for the right kind of skills and technology. But at the same point of time, it's not only the money that is driving the job market, it's also the things attached with money, the benefits, the policies, what we create for our employees. As an HR, what I create for my employees apart from salary is going to have a differentiator, because every time or every now and then you are going to come across a scenario where 2 or 3 companies are providing similar kind of salary brackets. That's how the market moves. One person cannot be too high, one person cannot be too low. How do you make a decision, or how employees normally make a decision? They look at the benefits, they look at the policies. Are the policies employee friendly? Are the policies encouraging employees to perform better? Are the policies telling the employees and giving enough opportunity to the employees to upskill? These are going to be the differentiators which actually drive you or all your people, all aspiring people in the tech industry to choose what kind of job or what kind of company I want to be in. The importance of human skills like problem solving, creativity are going to go higher. As I have said, that those are the skills or areas which people would really look forward to when they look at you as a potential employee. The flexibility to work in a work from office or work from home, a remote job environment, because as I said, that hybrid working model, shifts and work from home, these have now really taken over the job market in a big way in last 2 years. So you need to know the tricks and tips on how to work on those things. These are basically the real dominating trends in the world of technology. Scarcity, because that's what is called the Great Resignation. People are leaving one company and moving to the other. So scarcity is always a driving factor. Companies have to survive even when people are quitting, and they are formulating strategies around that. Every company has gone into a reinvention of business process and business strategy in last 1.5, 2 years. In the COVID scenario, as well as how the AI and machine learning domain has really come up as the hot and happening place in the market. The days are gone when we used to call that these jobs can be done only by a very niche skilled set of people. Now is the age where people are looking at an inclusive workforce. Like as an organization, iMerit looks at a workforce which comes from different cities and different rural and suburban areas. It's not only that the metros are going to rule, it's going to be an inclusive workforce, because please remember, it doesn't matter where you come from, which background of socioeconomic setup you come from. What matters is what you have learned, what you're willing to learn, and are you willing to put your efforts and sincerity into that. So inclusivity is actually the order of the day. Companies are no more looking at only one set of people who are coming from one kind of backgrounds. They're rather looking at an inclusive workforce. Like, we have an inclusive workforce who are actually the expert workforce delivering at enterprise grade clients on a regular basis. And people are coming from cities like Ranchi, Bhubaneswar, Shillong, Bhutan, Hubli, all places where normally IT companies don't try to set up their offices, but iMerit has, because inclusivity has been one of our strongest areas that we have worked all through. You have to stand by what you do. That's the rule of accountability. It's not, your human skills are going to be prioritized, and you need to stand strong about what you do and how you do. You will be held accountable in the sense that the companies would expect that if I have taken somebody in my team, the person is better be accountable so that I can depend on that person. So that dependency, that trust between employee and employer are really going to be a key factor which is driving the market. Of course, sustainability, it's not only growth. Growth is very, very important. But if you're not sustainable, if the growth is not sustainable, then it becomes a real problem. So sustainability. And finally, individuality. It's no more the days where I work in an office, I'm not very sure what the company is doing, or even if the company is doing good or bad, I'm just an employee. No, companies are looking for people who would actually feel that this is my company, this is my business. If the business is making a profit, then I'm going to grow higher, I'm going to go faster. If the business is not doing good, my growth, my potential will be underutilized or unutilized or misutilized, and I always have a chance of not growing as high as I actually have the potential of. So it is no more I'm just an employee. It is more about it's my company, it's my organization. Every soul in iMerit feels the same way on today's date, that this is my company and this is my organization. How to prepare for AI's impact on jobs? Of course, on the left side, what you see, explore careers in the field of AI, is basically what AI offers you. It offers you high growth. It offers you real contribution to the future of technology, because AI is the future of tech industry. That's for sure. I've already given you enough context on that. And of course, the varied opportunities where you can say that I just want to be a technical person. I only want to work on the technology. I want to be involved in the operations. I want to manage the strategic part. I want to manage the people part of it, even because it's going to be a people intensive industry too. And finally, you say that, no, I want to really make clients feel happy. I want to face the clients. I want to speak to clients, and I want to really make them understand the solutions that we are providing. Then you also have the opportunity to go for those kind of roles. So all these three different kind of roles are always available to you. On the other side, what you need to do, the first and thumb rule of technology industry, you will always need to be ready to upskill and have a very strong intent for learning for the rest of your life if you want to join the technology industry. Learning never stops in technology. So you need to be absolutely sure about that. Keep abreast of new technologies that will help you to increase. So you need to know what's happening in the world of technology. It just cannot be that I have read these things in my graduation and now I'm going to apply it for the rest of my life. It will not happen. Every day there is something new that's coming up, and you need to be keeping abreast of that. And of course, as I said, the repetitive processes will be automated. You need to be skilled and expert of your domains. So this basically shows that while there are a lot of industries which are going down, the IT and IT related industries are really going way up even in this trying times. So job roles that will continue to see growth. You can see data analyst or data scientist are on top. There are different other job roles like HR managers. They'll also grow. Writers, lawyers, these are all creative fields, fields where people have that specific interest and skills to do on their analytics, on their judgmental skills. The scientists, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, again, these are skills, as you can see, which are intensely and intrinsically human skills. These are the skills which are going to grow. And as you can see, data analytics or data science is on top. You can see cybersecurity, you can see software developer, project managers. These are all IT and tech related skills. This is again a generic set of skills which are being mentioned over here, but you can really see the IT skills that actually says that these are the skills which are going to stay in the market and which are going to grow. There are certain skills which will not grow at that fast rate. I'll not dive into them. There is some part of it, as you can see, which will be actually automated. You can see so many stock trading applications being advertised nowadays. You can see, as I've spoken about driverless cars, you can see the jobs of travel agents are partially or in a large way being taken by, job site websites like Make My Trip or a TripAdvisor and things like that. So these are all things which are more and more will see automations and implications of AI. And of course, the shift towards the hybrid model, professional working practices from home. It's like how many times you have seen, oh, I have just joined. Oh, who have joined last? Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. These are becoming the new terms of jargons when you're actually working in the work from home or a remote working mode. You need to learn how to upskill yourself even at a remote level. You need to know how you can complete basic tasks while you're working from a remote location. It may not be home at times, even if you may work from a small office setup, but most of your stakeholders, your leads, managers would be in a different location. So hybrid working model is going to be the order of the day. And there are different tools that are coming up to facilitate that model. And you need to keep abreast of those things for sure. So finally, how to be job ready in the age of technology. I would take this as a step-by-step approach. There are 5 or 6 steps that is being actually given over here. Few of them I've already touched upon. Keep abreast of your field of choice and technology advancement, which is a very critical thing. Within the field, you need to identify the exact role that you want to go for. What's your dream role? Based upon 2 criteria. One is, of course, you're not going to choose a role which is going to be automated in maybe 1 or 2 years. Then you're going to be out of that. And of course, which are the roles which are really trending towards the AI or technology? Because those are the roles which are going to give you the biggest growth. You need to understand the current skills, the list of current skills that are required for those roles, and then try to see what are the gaps that you have in those skills and try to build upon those skills. Networking and communication would be a real key in the field of technology going forward. So you have to be very strong in that part. And of course, once you have a job, you need to leverage your skills and use and utilize every opportunity that is provided by your organization to upskill yourself to a next level. Don't ever shy away from that. I'll just look into these factors in a little more deep way. So when you try to say keep up with your tech developments, what are the areas you go? You can use Google Alerts for new technology advancement in different websites, which actually gives you those kind of development news. Please attend conference and tech events like you're attending today. There are multiple tech events and conferences that are happening, and nowadays, because everything is happening virtually, so it has become more easier for all of us to attend such conferences and webinars to make sure that we are kept abreast of what's happening in the technologies. Please understand that technology changes very fast. It's a very dynamic thing, and you need to be absolutely sure that you are abreast of what is happening around the world, because it's no more a closed economy, it's a global economy, and every change that happens globally is going to impact you, your career, your job, your organization. TED Talks are one of the one of the best and most followed way of understanding how technology is moving in a specific area. Be a part of tech forums and subscribe to newsletters. Many newsletters, in I think almost 80% of them are free actually. You just need to subscribe, and subscribing is not enough. You just need to read them at your time. Keeping yourself updated about what's happening around you is very important. Then you need to understand what are the specific domains you want to grow in. Identify the skills you have, and please identify, more importantly, the skills you need. So then you know that where are gaps in your skill levels, and then you can start upgrading your skills into that level. That's most important things. What are the companies looking for and what I have? Do I have a gap? Yes. How do I bridge that gap? That's going to be the key for you. All the soft skills like creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, adaptability are always going to be critical any role that you go into. So be sure that you have actually, and these are skills which can be developed. Trust me, this is not like, we say that, some skills are, you are born with. No, these are all skills that you actually can develop. You just need to exercise. You just need to practice. You just need to put a conscious effort to make sure that you are developing those skills. Learning through platforms of peers are the order of the day. There are hundreds of self-learning platforms that you would find on internet, like EDX or Coursera is just a couple of examples of that. It's not that only these are the things that you can do. In a place or in a world where everything is based on internet, you will find hundreds of courses which can bridge the skill gaps that you have. So be part of different groups which are talking about the technology you want to learn. Go through certain self-learning online courses. Many of them again are either free or have very moderate course fees. Please join tech forums. Please don't look at tech forums like, okay, these are forums which are big professionals are talking and what we would understand. Please join them, and trust me, once you join them and follow them closely, you would understand that they are going to be very, very useful, because all the upcoming and happening technology are being discussed in the tech forum. Today is an era when knowledge is not kept to yourself, it's being shared. It's been shared and nurtured and further built on. So please be part of such forums. Internships, apprenticeships, working as gigs, or what we call crowd workers in different platforms on basic tasks. Those are the things which are going to give you a feel about how the skills that you're learning are actually being used in a proper application, how the organizations are using those skills in a proper applications of AI. And that's going to give you the required confidence when you actually go to a real-time live project or job in any organization. These are like your net practices, your practice ground to the skills that you have built up. You practice on those skills to hone them up further. So those are very critical things. And when I write follow people on Twitter, this is not about following celebrities, guys. Please understand that when I say follow people on Twitter, I am actually talking about following the real tech honchos on Twitter. There are a lot of high-end tech guys on Twitter globally who really put excellent updates which you can learn from. So when you're looking to follow people on Twitter, we are not just looking to follow celebrities. We need to upskill ourselves and keep abreast, and we follow people who can really benefit us. This is all about upskilling yourself. This is all about making yourself ready for that big jump into a 15 trillion US dollar industry that's going to flourish in next 10 years. So it's at your own interest. You have to choose the right people to follow. As I said, networking and communication is the order of the day. You ask for, and very importantly, a lot of us have this habit. The first time we ping somebody on LinkedIn, the first thing we express is, I need a job. What happens on turn, I can tell you from my experience of 19 years, if I don't have a job available for that person, I'd not really like to respond, because as humans, we don't like to say no on a face most of the time. So I just ignore it. But if somebody comes to me and asks, sir, I'm looking for an opportunity in this industry and I need to learn a little more on topic A or topic B or topic C, I'll be happy to help that person. So don't ask for a job. Please ask for advice. Please ask for guidance. Please ask for information, and people will be more than happy. As I said, today is not an era of keeping the knowledge and information to yourself. And all of us, I'm sure every professional in this field on LinkedIn would be happy to do that. Please reconnect with your alma mater, the people that you have studied with, your schoolmates, your college mates, your university mates, and find out what they're doing, how they're keeping themselves upgraded. These are all beautiful ways of making sure that you are on top of your work. And be ready for calls from your potential employers, for sure. But to be ready, you also need to know that how you communicate verbally, emails, and your skills for organizing. Because the moment you enter an organization, guys, take it from me, from my 19 years of corporate experience that I have, especially in growing companies like iMerit, you need to know how to keep yourself organized in terms of your documents and in terms of your regular jobs. If you're not, you will be overwhelmed in no time, because high growth industry is very demanding. So you need to be very organized, and you need to know how I communicate, whether it's written or whether it's verbal, because those are the skills. You may know 100 things, but if you are not able to convince the person sitting on the other side of the table, then that knowledge is not going to be convincing enough for the other person to say that, yes, I want this person in my company, in my team, or in my industry. Leveraging the tools that are normally available to you, like a LinkedIn. And when you look at why I'm talking about LinkedIn so much, because maybe that's the biggest global professional forum that you have. When you're putting a photograph, please make sure that's a professional photograph. You may have fantastic friends, you may have very loving parents, sisters and brothers, but don't put photographs you and your brother together, or your sister together for that matter, or even for that matter your girlfriends or boyfriends together. Those are beautiful personal photos for your family albums. Keep a professional photograph, and make sure that your LinkedIn profile is complete to the extent of 100%, if not at least between 95 to 100%. Don't just put few informations and leave the other things blank. It does not give a professional impression, even when an HR looks at your profile. I am telling that as an HR to you. I have come across a lot of profiles where the profiles are so incomplete that you actually don't get the required insights, and you don't know what the HR is looking at all the time. Make sure that if you learn something new, if you have learned something interesting, you may not be an expert in that subject matter, but you can still share such things with yourself, right? And of course, make sure that you are part of relevant groups and not all groups in LinkedIn, because relevant groups are going to give you the relevant information that is needed for you. What HR looks for a candidate in a profile, they look for the skills like, if you're talking about AI and tech industry, skills like cloud computing, data analytics, problem solving, which is the key part of any job at this moment, and project management and change management. Are you ready for change? Are you flexible enough? And what you can have, you can be proactive in giving the information. You can have certifications to show that even after you completed your main education, like your graduation or master's, you're not idle, you're continuously upgrading yourself. Be ready to unlearn a lot of things, which is very, very important. It's not only learning continuously, but if you want to learn continuously, there will be certain things that you need to unlearn. There will be certain ways you might think in your mind, oh, I have learned this in this way. Why somebody is telling me it in a different way? Because the ways have changed in last 3 months, in last 1 month, in last 2 months. Things move so dynamically in IT industry. And always try to show that you're ready to go beyond what the job role demands, because that is something which always differentiates you as an aspiring job seeker. That I have got 5 candidates with same qualifications and experience. What stands out in person A is that he or she is ready to go beyond the ordinary. And when you get into an organization, as I have said, always utilize every opportunity to develop and skill yourself. Don't avoid training programs by saying, oh, this is one more training program. This company has too many training and things like that. I have seen this, people feeling training programs are just like, one more training program. Because I'm telling you again, performance driven industry, high growing industry like AI and technology, your differentiation factor would be how quickly you learn, how well you learn, and how you utilize the opportunities that have been presented to you by the organization to learn. The more you do it, the more you get involved with the team to learn things, the more you utilize the opportunities and really thrive to learn new things. The more you show the leadership skills going beyond the regular duties of your job are the chances, and the more you take responsibility, of course, you would become the person in the team, in the organization, where the company would put their trust, their faith, and give you further opportunity to grow. These are just a few domains or names or roles which are really thriving in the AI industry. Data analytics, user experience means when you're actually working on different user interfaces and fields where you are directly interacting with clients. And communication, natural language processing or NLP, another very highly thriving field in the AI, majorly into content and content moderation kind of projects, and also audio and transcription into the field of AI. Computer science and artificial intelligence research, of course, that's like a core or the mother of all the AI roles or areas which you can thrive upon. And most importantly, software engineering or software development. AI is not going to take away, because every program or algorithm that is being built on AI technology is written by one software developer or other. So software engineering is still going to be there along with the data and data analytics. Again, these are not an exhaustive list. These are things or names or list, which is just an indicative factors. But overall, I think if you're looking to build a career in the AI industry, if you're looking to make it big, and if you're thinking that whether this industry is going to stay or going to be there for me, it is going to be there for you, and it is going to be there for you big time. Just make sure that you are properly skilled, you are ready, and you can dive into it. Thank you. I have already gone a little over with the time, so you can please start asking questions that you have, and I'll be happy to answer them.
That was quite an insightful presentation, everyone. You may take up the questions now. They are displayed in the questions panel.
Yeah, so I can see the first question from Vishal. Vishal is saying that he has completed his graduation in mechanical engineering and how he can get a job in AI or automation. Vishal, I think you have already gone through my presentation, and you need to look at probable available courses, starting from a very basic level course in AI and machine learning, and upgrade and upskill yourself to a level where you are ready to enter the AI job field, may not be as a hardcore professional, but as an apprentice or intern. And the moment you get into an industry, you'd start building further on your knowledge and skill. And once you start doing that, then you would see roads are opening in front of you to get further ahead and build a career into the AI and domain field. So you have to have some amount of basic knowledge acquiring part as a student going through different courses. As I said, there are a lot of courses available on the internet. Please build on them, give it some time, don't rush it up in like that. I need it within 1 month or 2 months. Give it some time where you have really formed an idea and got some skills, and then try to engage yourself as an intern or apprentice with an organization. It could be, in an organization like iMerit or any organizations who are working in such AI fields. There are a lot of tech organizations who are really going big in AI. And then once you start working on that part, the roads will open up for you. The second question that I see is from N. Ravindranath, who says that I just joined from speaker that safe passage for whales, elephants using AI. How this is done, please highlight on this aspect. So just give you a very quick example. As I said, what we are doing as an organization is that we are annotating the satellite imagery taken of ocean beds, which shows the movement of whales as well as the movement of ships. And it points out the areas which is a cross sections, which shows that these are the passages from where whales normally move in, and then these are the passages where ships also move in. And describes to the shipping companies that please avoid your shipping route through these passages, which are the most frequent passages for whales to move through the ocean. Because once you deviate from these passages, we cannot go and ask the whales that you don't take this route, take a different one, because I'm going to send a ship. We can ask the shipping companies, the human intervention, to be deviated from the mostly common passages. This is just an example of what we are doing. There are different other examples, even in wildlife, and there is a forest where such satellite imagery is used to annotate the common movement passages for animals and make sure that they have a safe corridor. I can see the next question is from Anil Babu. What can be the use of institutes like simple learning, etc.? I think self-learning may be sufficient. Can you please share your view? So Anil, I think self-learning can always be sufficient as long as you're learning it in the right way and you are actually building some internship or apprentice experience on that self-learning to understand that what you have learned through the courses of self-learning, how much of that is actually being used in applications, and is there a gap in your learning? See, an internship for apprentice is actually a state where you are getting into, as I said, you have learned how to play cricket in the nets. Now I'm asking you, go and play some practice matches to understand what you have learned. Is it the right way? Are you being able to apply the skills that you have learned? And based upon that, you can further hone your skills. You can further bridge the gaps, what you have learned in the self-learning, and you can take it forward from there. You might find that you have learned it very well and you're doing well in that field. You might also find that, oh, I have learned it, but there is some more areas where I need to hone my skills. I may know how to draw bounding boxes, but I still don't know how to do 3D LiDAR. So let me build on that skill either by working in that internship or apprenticeship role, or going back to the drawing board and try to see if I can do some more courses to back me up. Either way, it would work, but you have to do this trial and test method when you're getting into a self-learning mode, is what I feel. Suchitra has asked a question: how will AI help teachers, although their remote teaching is prevailing? Right, Suchitra, I think there are some typos, but I think I got a question, if I've got a question right. So, see, to be a teacher, to become a teacher, the first thing that you need to do is you need to know something. It's the knowledge that you acquire is the knowledge that you can impart. It's as simple as that. So if you want to become a teacher in the field of AI, and remote is no more a challenge. I told you at the very beginning that if you are a teacher or you're an aspiring teacher and you still want to venture into the field of AI, education is a field which is being big time propelled by AI. You can see how much of Byju's and such courses are already being promoted. These are not only online courses, these are courses where there's a big implications of AI, because the curriculum, the presentation, everything is being propelled by AI, and there is a lot of effort and inputs from the teachers at the back end to do design those curriculums, those courses, which are now being presented to the students as a productionized, commoditized product. So you can choose whether I want to be a teacher who want to teach things related to AI online, or I want to be at the back end and give my inputs and knowledge in mobilizing the AI field to design programs in the education. The choice is yours, but there are two ways through which you can look at that. I can see a question from Shomujit, from Deepesh. If we have, I'll come back to Shomujit's question also. I can see a question from Deepesh. If we have 10 or 12 years of experience in any technology, would it be wise to learn AI and start from scratch? Now, Deepesh, see, if you have got experience in any technology, it only says that you have the aptitude of technology, you have the field of technology, and you already have exposure to the corporates. The only thing you do not have is the AI, the insights about the skills that are required from AI. I would suggest that give it a shot. Why it is, if you ask the question, will it be wise? See, wisest thing is always to go to an industry which is growing thick and fast, which shows the growth potential for next 10 years, and which has the promise of all the financial backups being given by the financial institutions, which ensures that it is going to continue to grow. So of course, if you want to really grow, it's a wise thing to move or try to acquire knowledge and skills into that technology. But to do that, I understand that you are a working professional. You need some time to be attributed to learn skills. You have mentioned it very rightly. You will learn it from the scratch. So you need to give some time and learn it from the scratch. And then if you're working somewhere else, you can still enroll yourself, maybe as a gig worker, as I said, as a crowd worker in different platforms, to see that what you're learning, are you able to apply those things in the field? If you see yes, and if you get encouraged, then you can definitely start building on them. But one thing for sure, Dipesh, you cannot expect to start at a very high level of AI if you're starting from the scratch and entering into the industry. You need to give a few years of time before you can build on. I hope you understand what I'm mentioning on that. I see a question from Shomujit. If interested, how can someone apply for any open position at iMerit? Okay, so if anyone wants to apply for iMerit, you can actually go into the iMerit website. There's a career page. You can go in there and you can submit all your details and CVs, and the sourcing team will take it forward from there on. And if your profile matches, we'll see you there. Yeah, Pranav, have I answered all the questions that are in the chat window? I think I have,
Yes,
but I just
Anirban.
want to check
Yes.
with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Anirban, for such an exciting and empowering session. It was a delight to have you here with us today. I would also like to thank all our participants for making this webinar a great success. This session has been recorded and the recording will soon be available on Timesjobs. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Pranav, and thank you everyone for your valuable time. I just hope that whatever I've said or shared with you today really helps you in building up a career in AI. Thank you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, be happy. Thank you, guys. Thank you.